Hello, beautiful people. I hope that wherever you are in the world, that you are doing well and that you are taking care of yourselves. I'm Chris Danker, and this is Let the Adventure Begin. Let the Adventure Begin with Chris Danker podcast. Hey, welcome to episode 132. It is National School Counseling Week, and so I thought this would be a great opportunity to chat about what I do for a living. For those of you who are new to the podcast, this is maybe your first time, or even if you have listened and didn't know, I am an educator in my 31st year. I have 23 of those years have been as a classroom teacher. I taught various language arts classes for middle school and high school for 18 years. And during that time, the last part of my teaching, I was working on my counseling degree, and I got that and became an elementary school counselor for 7 years. I always said I never knew that kindergarten through fourth graders would be in my wheelhouse, but I absolutely loved it. However, I missed being in the classroom, and I missed middle schoolers. And I know a lot of people who are like, what? You like being with middle schoolers? And yes, they're my absolute favorite, but that is an episode for another time. So I got back into the classroom for 5 years. And this last year, I had an opportunity in my current building to move from being a seventh grade English teacher into a counseling role. So I'm back in counseling. But at the middle school level, and I absolutely love it. And I just wanted to talk about some of the differences in what school counselors do and don't do in some of our day-to-day, because I don't think a lot of people know what we do. I would even venture to guess there are even colleagues in my own building who aren't quite sure what school counselors do. So here's what a school counselor is not. We are not school psychologists. There are, excuse me, some districts who have gone the route of having school psychologists also be their school counselors. And that makes me sad, because it really lessens the expertise of both professionals. School psychologists, they test students for various educational needs, and they interpret those tests. And where a school counselor meets the needs of students on a social, emotional, academic, and future looking at career level. So we do completely different things, but some school districts have gone to having school psychologists also play a double role. And like I said, I think that's unfortunate. We are not licensed mental health practitioners or LMHPs. Now, some school counselors have both. They are both school counselors and licensed mental health professionals. I did not pursue that degree. It would have been, honestly, it only would have been 1 or 2 more classes, and then I believe it was 300 or 400 more hours of obtaining that license, and I just opted not to do it. I might be off on the hours. I might be a little low. It might be more in the neighborhood of 500 plus hours. I would have to look to see what it is now. So don't come at me if I got that completely wrong. So we're not community mental health. We don't meet with students on a weekly basis for a long period of time. So that's a little bit about what we don't do. However, there's a lot that we do that looks at the overall well-being of the students that are in our building. On a national level, or what our American School Counselor Association, the number that we look at for ratio is that for every 250 students, there should be one counselor. So one counselor per every 250 students. I'm going to tell you that rarely, if ever, happens. I'm fortunate that in the building I'm in, it is a building of 600 students in grades 6th, 7th, and 8th. And there are two of us, two counselors in our building. And that is pretty amazing. So we have a ratio of 300 students per counselor. And that is, like I said, I'm very fortunate to be in a district, in a building that has that. So when we are looking at, and how we divvy up our responsibilities in terms of working with students, is that for each of our grades, we have two teams, an A and a B team. There's no designation. There's just, a certain number of students are on the A team, certain on the B team for 6th, and then 7th, and then 8th. So let's say with 6th graders, I have team 6A, and my counterpart has 6B. So that just helps us on days when we're both in the building, that if it's a student on 6A that someone is needing to meet with, that person is going to be me. But students also know that they can come to whichever one of us they feel more comfortable with, or if one of us happens to be out of the building, then the other one is there as well. So people will often ask, what is your day to day? And I often think of the movie Forrest Gump, when Forrest talks about a box of chocolates and you just never know what you're going to get. And really, that's what counseling is like. I can set up my day for a certain way, and it can sometimes run that way, but other times it gets completely sidetracked. And so I'm going to just kind of take you through my typical day. So at the beginning of the day, I greet students in the hallway as they're coming into the building. That first half hour, I do check-ins with different students, just on a variety of just small, quick check-ins on different things that we have been meeting about. And so then after that, depending on the day of the week, we do team meetings. So in my building on Mondays, we do team meetings with each grade level. And on Thursdays, we do PLCs, like personal learning communities. And so 2 days a week, we meet with our teachers. During those times, we talk about students of concern, whether it's academics, whether it's behaviors, whether it's emotions. And we just meet and just have conversations on how we can best support our students. And so we, again, are very fortunate to be able to have that time where we can meet together twice a week so that we can strategize and put plans together in which we can, like I said, help support our students. On days that I don't have team meetings, there are things that, again, these are the behind the scenes things that a lot of people don't realize that we do. There's a lot of email correspondence that happens with families, with teachers. Sometimes students will email and want to change something on their schedule. And we do a lot of having students work to advocate for themselves. So then I take them through a process of, if they want to drop an elective and add another, they have to go to both teachers, they have to get permission, and then those teachers need to send me an email letting me know that student has talked to them about changing their schedule. So it might be schedule changes. Right now we are working on, we honor students every other Hexter. We work on Hexters, and that means instead of quarters changing things every 9 weeks, we change things up every 6 weeks. This is the first school district that I've ever been in that's done that, and quite honestly, I struggled to wrap my head around that to begin with, and now I absolutely love it. I love the fact that kids get a fresh start every 6 weeks, or their exploratory classes, their electives change every 6 weeks. I think that is amazing, and because they get a lot more opportunities and they get to try out a lot of different classes than for electives or exploratories. But then every other Hexter, we do what we call learn, grow, lead awards. And those awards, that's something that I take the lead on. So it is having teachers do their nominations. It is getting the cards ready to give to the teachers so that they can write a note in them. It is getting the tickets ready that then get handed out to the students. It's helping to do all of that behind the scenes work. On a given day, I might be my counterpart, and I might be working on prepping for different testing that we have during the year at different times. So there's, like I said, a lot of behind the scenes work. So that, a lot of times I spend an hour or so doing those kinds of things in the morning. And then I do lunch supervision every day. And during that lunch supervision, that is a great time to be able to connect with kids in a different way. It's very informal. We're just walking around the lunchroom and just, having conversations with kids. And like I said, it's just getting to know them in an informal way. And you get to see who they hang out with at lunch and what are things that they might, raise their hand or come over and talk to any one of us, whether it's our principal, our assistant principal, our other counselor, or me. They'll come over and they'll have conversations. We have teachers who have a supervision shift of 20 to 30 minutes. And it's a great time for kids to, again, see us outside of our formal elements so that we get to know each other in a different way. And I wasn't sure at first if I would like doing lunch supervision every day because it's close to an hour and a half. But I really have come to enjoy that part of my day. And within that lunch supervision, I also have a 30-minute lunch break. After lunch is over, then I do check-ins with students. And that's because with having those supervision responsibilities at lunch, I can't meet with kids then during their lunchtime. So a lot of times I'll do check-ins with kids after lunch. If it is okay in their schedule, I always contact teachers ahead of time and just say, hey, what do you have going on this class period? The student wanted to meet with me. Would that be possible? If not, it's never a problem. I feel like our teachers know that we respect the fact that the academics come first, but sometimes teachers will understand it, and our teachers are really good about knowing their students and advocating for them when they see that, hey, while my lesson might be important in my classroom, they also recognize that if a student has something on their mind, they're not going to be able to concentrate on the classroom content anyway. And so it is very rare for a teacher. In fact, I can't even think of a situation that's happened this year where a teacher has said, no, the student can't come down. It might be toward the end of the class period, which is perfectly fine. But that's a lot of times I do check-ins with students after lunch. Then I'll do another round of email correspondence. So I'll go back and I'll look and see if any emails have come through, whether it's been from parents, students, teachers, to see if there's anything I need to follow up on as well. And then the end of my day is, again, supervision after school. Seeing kids as they're leaving for the day, wishing them a good evening. Again, touching base quickly with maybe some kids that I do regular check-ins with. And, throughout the day, I make myself visible. I'm in the hallway in between every class period, and I often make loops through the building so that, again, I can make sure that I'm visible. And if kids happen to be at their locker, or they're going to the restroom, or they're going from one classroom to the next, just having a quick hello and how's it going? Those are just easy ways to make contact with kids. That is a typical day. It doesn't always happen that way because there are definitely situations where, kids have things popping up. And just to give a couple, just generic examples, sometimes we'll have kids that maybe they're having some friendship problems, and so they can't concentrate because they're sad because they had an argument with their best friend. Or maybe that there are some problems outside of the school day that are having an effect on their performance at school. Maybe a parent who works out of town is going to be gone for a week or two. And so the student's just, kind of down about that because they're going to miss their parent who's going to be gone. So some things, things like that will pop up. And again, it can be things like that. It can be things of a more serious nature. Sometimes we will have kids that are down, they're depressed. And so I'll do a suicide risk assessment to a screener to see if there are further concerns. I always tell kids, this is something that is posted in my office, is that anything that we talk about is between the two of us and the four walls of my office, unless I fear that they're going to harm themselves, they're going to harm someone else, or I have fear that or have a concern that someone is maybe going to harm them. And then at that point, and I'm upfront with kids when they come in to talk, to let them know that those are the situations in which I would need to make sure that either I needed to call a parent, which I've done before, or gotten a hold of my one of my administrators. And even if it's a call home that I need to make, I always offer to let the students stay in the room with me, because I want them to know exactly what I am going to be saying to their parent. I think that they're part of the conversation, so they need to be there, and so that they can hear what I'm saying and the conversation that is happening with their parent or guardian. Likewise, if I am going to send an email home to a parent, maybe it's an academic kind of thing, or just, a concern that the student has brought up, or a question that the student has had, and I'm going to email home, I not only obviously put the parents or guardians on the email, but I also make sure that the student is included in the email as well, for the same purpose. They're the subject, they're the topic of the email, and so they need to know exactly what is being emailed home, so that it kind of is proactive in many ways, because then there's no confusion on, well, this person said this and this person said this, and no, we all get on the same page. So yeah, there are just different things that can kind of pop up during my day that are unexpected. But, I just wanted to share kind of a general rundown of, this is what I do as a school counselor. And I thought, what better opportunity than to share that during National School Counseling Week. And so, yeah, like I said, I think there's maybe some misconceptions about what school counselors do. And there's maybe not an understanding of our role in our school communities, but we are just as involved in our students' lives, just in a different way than a classroom teacher. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you are a school counselor, whether you are elementary, middle, or high school, thank you for everything that you do. Every level has its own set of challenges, its own set of responsibilities. And I'm just very proud to be a part of this community of school counselors. So if you are in that role, wherever you are in the world, thank you for everything that you do. There is always a need for more school counselors. So if you are interested in school counseling, send me an email at gettoit11@gmail.com. My email address is also in the show notes, so that maybe I can give you a little more information as to what is involved in being a school counselor, depending on where you are in the world. And finally, if you have questions about anything that I told you about today, about my job and my career and what I do, I would love to to hear from you and to see if there's anything that I didn't cover in this episode that you would like to have answered. So feel free to send me an email. With that, I hope that you have an amazing rest of the week. I hope you let your adventure begin, and peace.